Welcome to Uncontained episode 12. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render, and I'd like to thank everybody who took the time over last week to wish me a happy birthday on Facebook or otherwise. And thank you also for tuning in to the previous 11 episodes. Today on episode 12, we have comedian Mike Lucas. I recorded this a little while back. It was one of my startup episodes that I recorded, and he's been up to some cool things since we've recorded this episode. He just performed with Ben Cronenberg and comedian Josh Blue at the Floodwater Comedy Festival. I saw Josh Blue a couple of months back here in the Bay Area. That dude is hilarious. If you get a chance, check him out. I'm actually kind of jealous he got to perform with Josh Blue. Very funny stuff from that guy, and very funny stuff from Mike Lucas as well. In this episode, we talk about the growing scene in Cedar Rapids and also his strategy for crafting the lineup for open mics so the crowd is not wasting their time, in his own words, and what he's doing to help get noticed and help get shows, teaming up with some other comedians, creating the Comedian Coalition. All that and more in episode 12 of Uncontained with Mike Lucas. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I haven't talked to you for a while, at least for the last 3 years that I've been out here in California.
Yeah.
How's everything going out there in Iowa?
It's going well. Having a lot of fun here. I'm personally doing a lot of shows in the area and stuff, and kind of meandering through the process of getting better at comedy and kind of improving my stock, I guess, here, getting some bigger and better shows, I guess. So that's cool.
Right on, right on. It seems like a lot of people. There's a lot of the comics that I have done some shows with in Iowa are actually doing quite a bit of touring. Have you been doing any touring yourself, or just mainly sticking around Iowa? Or
Touring. I wouldn't say I've been touring. I did a small tour last spring featuring for Nathan Temmel. Just kind of doing some one-off shows here and there, so that's about the extent of what's going on. But yeah, I mean around the area, like throughout the Midwest, like we did Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota last spring. So yeah.
okay, all right. And let's see. It says you've been so you. I saw that you've been in like nearly 9, 10 states doing stand up.
Yep, exactly. I did I've started like 4 years ago, and mostly I do a lot of stuff here in Iowa. But yeah, I've been in basically all the bordering states. And then I guess I did a show in Phoenix, but I mean, that was just like an open mic, but it was a lot of fun. Go check it out. So,
All right, how'd you end up hopping down to Phoenix and doing a show there?
yeah, another comic and I went down and watched some baseball last spring, and then we decided we'd just go check it out and see if there's anything going on. And we found an open mic downtown Phoenix there, and it was a lot of fun. Some pretty cool people there, and they let us on the show, so that was nice.
What's your favorite team?
Sports team or like the baseball team?
Baseball
I'm a
team. Baseball team.
White Sox fan. The guy I went with is like a huge Cubs fan, so we went and watched that.
Okay. Was it the spring training down in Arizona
Yep, exactly, yep.
Okay. All right, man. Those Cubs, man. I thought Back to the Future was gonna be right, but
even the Cubs curse get overcome Back to the Future, I guess. So.
I know, man. I know. As a Sox fan, could you find it in your heart to cheer for the
I
Cubs?
cheered for him. Yeah, it was fun to watch him. I've never had any strong hatred for the Cubs. I save all that for the Twins, I guess.
The Twins, okay.
Yeah.
And the Cubs fans save it all for the Cardinals, I believe. I got a few. I'm not a huge baseball fan myself, but I am like a Chicago sports fan.
Yeah.
So, all right, a little bit more about the show in Phoenix. I guess you just went out road tripping and just walked into an open mic after a baseball game, or what?
No, what we did was we before I went down there, you can get there's a website where you can kind of find where open mics and stuff are at. So I got on that website and contacted the guy who ran the show, and you have to I think you have to be approved or he put you on the list ahead of time. So I emailed him and he put us on the list. So that was pretty much the extent of it. And it was a pretty good crowd. It was definitely a different experience. It was fun.
Okay, cool. What is this website that you speak of?
It's called Bad Slava, BADSLAVA, and basically you can, if you run a mic, you can put it on that website, and it's just sort of like a way for comics to figure out where to go if you're heading out of town.
Okay, that's cool to know. That's so if you're traveling around and want to hit the stage, check that out. Bad Slava.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what are some of the craziest stories that you have? I know you haven't been touring a lot, but you've been on the road. So, anything interesting, wild, crazy, otherwise?
So I've traveled with Nathan Temmel for the most part, and he's a professional comedian. And he headlines, and every once in a while he'll take me out. And Nathan is he's just a true pro, you know. So so he takes me out, but he's very straight laced and does all of his it's all about the job for him. It's very important to him. So when we go out, I mean it's pretty much do the job and move on.
No sex, drugs, and comedy.
No, not at all, man. I guess I did the last or one of the last times we were out. I stayed at the casino and he went back to the room or his room or whatever, and I gambled for a while and won a couple $100. So that's about the extent of the excitement for me. But that's cool.
Right
It's
on.
cool. I like to keep it. I mean, I'm married and stuff, so and I have kids, so pretty much it's focused on comedy and have a little fun. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
There you go. There you go. No need to go all out then. You got that at home. So So you were telling me earlier that the Iowa scene has a lot of cool stuff going on. It's kind of blowing up right now. What's all going on with the Iowa scene?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I suppose it's all relative, right? But we have there's a lot of really great comics that work around this area, and it's very interesting to see. It seems like we all sort of got into it at the same time, and we're all progressing, I guess, and doing some interesting things like, for instance, tonight Brian Posehn is here in Iowa City performing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one of the his opener is from here in Iowa City. Her name's Megan Gogarty. She's awesome. She's a professor. I think she's a professor at the university. I know she teaches a class there. I assume she's a professor.
Okay. So being a professor there would actually kind of fit Brian Posehn's type of comedy. He's pretty smart, so that kind of works there.
Yeah, and she's great. She opened for Cameron Esposito here. She's been out now, and she was out in LA and did some stuff out there at the Improv. What else did she do? She's open for Louis Anderson in Vegas. So yeah, I mean, she's just one example. There are tons of comics like her who go do stuff. Daniel Frana opened up for T.J. Miller here or maybe a year or so ago. T.J. Miller's great.
Okay. Yeah.
So it seems like we're getting a lot of opportunities to open up for some great comics that are passing through. Like I got to open for Ben Kronberg. He was awesome. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Okay, cool, man. And did you say you have a show coming up with him too, or did that just happen?
Actually, he was supposed to come through, and that whole thing just within the last week got postponed or sort of. I'm not sure if it fell through or what, but it's not going to happen as of right now. But they're looking at what to do in the future about having him come back. So that sucked, but stuff like that happens,
yeah, that's show business for you.
For sure. I did want to mention, I guess we were talking about cool stuff in Iowa. Last year we had, just in the Iowa City area, we had, what did we have? We had two festivals. We had a Green Gravel Comedy Festival was here in Iowa City, and Eddie Pepitone headlined that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then and I was in that one, so that's the one I know the most about. Floodwater was also here in Iowa City, and I think that one was put on by like students, and but it was very professional, and they all shoot. I wish I could remember who the headliner was. I was out of town that whole week, but then I got to be on it like the last day, like, but it was sort of like the closing event, so I didn't get to, wasn't there for any of the festival. But they were both huge successes. They have a lot of support here in Iowa City for that, and then in Des Moines, I know that they have a festival there too called Beast Village, and I think Dave Ross headlined that one. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, when I was in Iowa, the scene was just like kind of heating up. Things were starting to happen.
yeah,
I was regular at the Catacombs of Comedy, which is where I met you at.
yeah, yeah.
That Tom Garland hosts, and I hear he just finished up hosting and handed over the reins to somebody else, or
Yeah, yeah, he's I think he gave that to Joe Beadle, and who's a newer guy. He's been around for about a year, and he's a super nice guy, works very hard. And then I think his roommate still is the other guy, who's DJ Dorrington. So yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah. I don't make it to that one, because it's pretty late and it starts at like 10 o'clock on a Monday night and runs all
Yeah,
night
that's
long.
Iowa City for you.
Yeah,
That's Iowa City for you.
exactly.
People don't go out till 11.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm an old guy, so I don't get to do that one. But
Right on. And you got your own open mic too that you host, correct?
yeah, Brian Huggins and I host the one at Penguins, which is the local comedy club here, and it's in Cedar Rapids. And so we host that one, and it's every Wednesday night. And what we do is Brian and I host it like maybe once a month. We'll alternate that, and then we rotate in guest hosts. So we give like new people chances to learn how to host, which is fun. And then we also, have people who are excited about hosting and maybe draw in a big crowd of their friends or something to come one night. So we try to do that. We keep the show different and fun and fast paced and entertaining. I mean, the whole idea for us is to uh, give everybody equal opportunity and have a fun show. It ends up being really
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it ends up being a great
Yeah.
show.
Help progress people as you go, kind of the point of an open mic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think the idea for me personally is um, I don't think I'm going to, move to LA and become a famous comedian because, I'm older and I'm married and have kids and stuff. So I want the scene here in Iowa to be as big and fun as possible. So I'm
Yeah.
always trying to get more and more people involved and excited about it. So that's my approach.
Right on. And how is hosting open mic different from just being um participant on the open mic to you? Is there like a big difference for you, or
Yeah, for sure.
do you prefer one or the other?
Do I? Yeah, it's funny that you asked that. I don't know that I prefer one over the other, but they're both very different. That's for sure. When you're hosting the mic, it's kind of your job to keep track of what's going on the whole night and make sure the show is moving and it's fun and it's the idea for me is to draw an audience. So if you're drawing an audience, you need to have a show that's entertaining. It's
Yeah.
I don't like I've been to plenty of open mics that have a different approach that I think frustrates the audience, which is like people performing and not caring about doing a good job, or uh, you know I just feel like my point is like you shouldn't waste the audience's time. Everybody should be trying to do a good job and having a good show. So
With an open mic, how do you like make that happen? Like,
yeah, here's what I do. I know enough people around here that I know who I can trust is going to go do something good up there. You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
know there are plenty of people who are learning and trying new things, and I understand. I don't expect everybody to be good or anything. I just expect you to go up there and have a plan and try to do a good job. So what I do is I'll sort of alternate. Like I will I'll put somebody out there who I don't know yet, or somebody who I know is, just learning, and I'll put them up, and then I'll put somebody that I know is going to do a good job, and I'll alternate them, kind of rotating back and forth, so the audience is engaged the whole time. They know that they're not going to sit through, 8 people who are just learning how to do this or struggling or whatever. It's being a comic's hard, man.
Yeah, yeah. And so you craft your lineup for the night, like handcrafted, opposed to some places
Yeah,
who are like first come, first serve, pick your own place.
exactly. Yep, exactly.
Then you can end up with 8 people telling hack jokes
Ex-
in a row or something.
Yep, you got that. You got that right. That's a perfect way to put it.
Right, that's cool. It's interesting to see what goes in behind the scenes. What are you doing to promote the show to make? You mentioned that earlier to make people more interested and come and try to get the biggest turnout.
Sure, we
What?
do some stuff with, like, it's a lot of, mostly Facebook, and then Twitter, and then the website, the Penguins website, has information on there about it. Penguins kind of carries their own cachet. Like, everybody around here knows that that's the comedy club. So I think there's a certain amount of respect that just goes with the fact that that's the comedy club in the area. So people know when they go to that, they're going to see real comedians,
Yeah,
as opposed to, like, if someplace has a open mic at a bar, people may not have give the same amount of respect to that. So I mean, yeah, pretty it's pretty self-sustaining, and we just push through with, Facebook updates and make events, and then use Twitter and stuff to remind people. And then we've got a pretty big group of, um what am I trying to say, people who come and perform every week, regulars, who support it and put the word out all the time, and bring their friends and stuff.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
Is Penguin still the only comedy club in Eastern Iowa or in like the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area?
Yeah, the only
Official comedy club?
Yeah, yep, it is. I mean, the only other one that I know of is in Des Moines, which is the Funny Bone. And there are obviously there are other places that have regular comedy, and
Yeah.
but not places that every single week hire professional comedians that come there and perform.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I was just curious on how much the comedy scene was growing in Iowa since it's been almost 3 years since I've been there.
Sure, yeah. Well, we have, somebody's putting on something every week. I mean, there are shows somewhere every week. I mean, you could get on or be a part of something, either in the Quad Cities. They've got a couple different places, right? Well, 3 different regular places that have shows. There's the Speakeasy, there's a place called the Back Room, and then the Establishment. And they have comedy. They have something every week, but it's not like they
Okay.
don't have traveling professionals come through. They have, like, the Back Room has improv, and then they'll have stand up before the improv shows, and Speakeasy has, like, different kinds of shows. I'll have variety shows. My buddy Andrew King once a month hosts a show called the After Hour, and it's a live talk show. It's a very interesting idea, and it's sort of his passion, and it's really fun that he's kind of come up with this new interesting idea for comedy. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that just there? Is that broadcast somewhere?
It's For now it's just there, but I think the idea is at some point to start recording it and putting it somewhere or something like that. Yeah, but at this point it's just a live show, and he puts a lot of effort into it, and it's a very, the idea is that it comes across like a late night TV show, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, in a bar. That is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Are Is the crowd responsive to that? Do they know what they're walking into, or is it just they're like going out to
Yeah.
get drinks and what's this
No,
going on
well,
here? Oh my god.
no, the place that it's at is called the Speakeasy, but it's a performance, like, center, so people go there
Okay.
specifically for it. Man, it's got a sort of like a local following down there, where, there are gonna be the same people are gonna come every time. There's gonna be a group of them, and then on top of that, there's going to be a bunch of other people who come too. I mean, the place holds, I don't know, I mean, like 150 people or something, and the show, each week or each month, is gonna get 70 people no matter what, probably. So
Right on, that's cool.
yeah.
You'll have to let me know if that actually gets on the internet. I'd like to check that
All
out.
right, yeah, man, we'll do that.
Man, so yeah, there's quite a few things happening in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area and Iowa comedy altogether.
Yeah,
Um, you have I saw on something you posted, you're part of a group, like a comedians coalition, is that
yeah,
correct?
it's called the Comedian Coalition. I work with 5 other comedians, and we set up shows in the area. Well, we'd set them up anywhere, but they're at this point we've been doing this for 2 years. We just celebrated a 2-year anniversary about a week ago. And basically, what we do is we go and perform at like bars and stuff. Like 6 of us will go and we'll put on like an hour and a half long show or 2 hour long show, and we'll each do equal amount of time. And it's been sort of our way to circumvent the system. Um, as we were getting better at comedy, we all wanted to go out and feature, which is the next step in the line for being a comedian. You go, you
Yeah.
open mic, and then you host, and then you feature or guest spots and feature, and then headliner. Well, there's there there's just the 2 comedy clubs in Iowa, so we wanted to figure out a way to feature since we weren't getting to feature at the clubs because there's just not a lot of not that there's not a lot of opportunity, but there's only so many spots to go around. So we decided we were going to go out and put on shows, and we were each going to do feature length sets. So we're doing 15 or 20 minutes apiece, and we're going out and doing these shows and getting experience that way. And it's been amazingly cool. We've had we just did a show last night at a place in Clinton, Iowa called Hook's Pub, and the, it's our 3rd time performing there. And
Cool.
yeah, we've had grand success getting uh, having fun shows, putting on quality shows. And we go to a lot of times we'll go to like towns where they don't have like comedy clubs or comedy scene, and people just get excited to see something different, and they'll fill up the place and come, and they're pretty receptive, and they seem to appreciate us coming to their town and putting on a show like that. So it's a lot of fun. And the other guys that are in the group are Donnie Townsend, Daniel Frana, Martin Lathrop, Andrew Jones, and Mitch Banks. I don't know if you know any of those guys or not.
I know a couple of
Yeah,
them. Townsend,
yep,
Frana, and the others were kind of new names to me.
yeah.
But yeah, I remember both of them from the Catacombs of Comedy. They're from the Quad Cities, right? Or at least Donnie Townsend is, correct?
Donnie now he lives in Cedar Rapids. He does a lot of stuff
Okay.
working at Penguins and things like that. He hosts there a lot on the weekends. So yeah, he lives up in Cedar Rapids, and then Daniel lives in Iowa City. So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I do remember both of them from doing shows and stuff in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area.
Yeah.
Do you for the comedian coalition, do you find yourself being able to book shows that you didn't think you would that you probably wouldn't be able to if it was just yourself?
Um,
Or like does it open some doors having a group like a cluster of
I
comedians?
think it does. Yeah.
Uh
Um,
okay.
I think it does, and I think that our whole idea was this: we wanted to put on a quality show. We wanted people to want to watch it, and we wanted them to come out of the show um, f- being happy that they came to the show. I watched plenty of
That's
comedians.
always a good goal right there.
Right. The thing is I watched plenty of comedians around here when I was first starting out, putting on shows when they probably shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? Guys doing an hour of comedy, and it just wasn't very good. And so
Yeah.
we didn't want to go out there and feel like we were duping people into coming to these shows. You know what I mean? We wanted to have a show that when people when people were done watching it, they were pleased with us. They weren't dissatisfied, and I think I saw plenty of that, and we just wanted to make sure we weren't being selfish, I guess. You know what I mean? Like if you go out, you can
Yeah.
book a show and put on a and go up there and tell I could go up there and tell an hour and a half's worth of jokes and be successful for a quarter of them, and who cares? The customer or the audience is not going to be pleased. So we wanted to do a good
Yeah.
job. So that was our idea, was we're going to go out and do 15 or 20 of our best minutes every time we go out, and the crowd's going to be excited about it. So
Cool.
yeah.
And do you guys have the styles in the coalition?
Hmm.
Like, do you vary a lot? Do you have one that says like "get her done," or you might be a redneck if, or anything like that? Or I don't know. Did you purposely like choose people who have different styles, or are you guys similar?
I think that we have found that we're similar. None of us are like that. We don't have a get her done kind of guy or anything. We we do,
Get her
yeah,
done.
right on, man. Now I would say that we are, like, I do a lot of one-liners. I'm very one-liner oriented. Um, Martin has sort of a rambling, crazy person's approach to things, and it's fun. He just like it's just one thing leads into the next, and it's this long rambling like story basically. So that doesn't really seem to be cohesive, but it's hilarious. Um, Daniel is funny because he does a lot of like goofy puns, and then people sort of groan, and then they fall in love with it because he just keeps doing it and gets deeper into them, and Donnie's an absurdist, and Mitch is just a guy who he's lovable and funny and kind of high energy, um, and then Andrew, he plays the guitar sometimes, and he's just like the most likable guy in the world. He could say anything and get people to laugh.
Right on, right on. So it
So
does sound like there's some variety, but
yeah,
like,
but we all seem to we're all sort of just absurd. You know what I mean? It's like none of us are telling stories about our lives, or we're not political. We're all just sort of goofy. And so, it's just a bunch of guys um, having fun for the sake of fun. We're not trying to get a message across. We just want you to come out and have a fun time.
all right, cool, cool. I actually listened to your stand-up set from Zany's, and that was at the Zany's like near Chicago
Yeah, in Rosemont.
in Rosemont. Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the name of the town that it was in,
Yep.
but yeah, I heard a lot of one-liners from you, like the first gray pubic hair joke
Yep.
on your pancakes
Yep. Yep.
and all that stuff. It was funny. I actually LOL'd quite a few times.
Good. I love it.
Sorry. I don't normally speak in text, but when I do,
Man, I appreciate you brought it out for me.
I try to make you feel
Thanks,
special.
buddy.
I try to make you feel special.
Thanks. So yeah, I did.
So how?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, no, yeah. I just went out there last month, and it was a lot of fun. I was pretty. That's the it, it's a fun opportunity. You go out there and basically send them some information. You share your link with them and ask them to take a look at you, and if I guess if you pass whatever eye test they have for you, you can get the opportunity to go to a show out there, which is basically on a Tuesday night. They have like a showcase, and
Okay.
they have like 10 comics come out and do like 6 or however many minutes. And so you have to go out there and perform and kind of try to be clean. And clean, of course, just means don't say the F word a bunch and stuff.
Okay. So they don't want you to be blue there, or
Correct, yeah.
okay.
And I think the idea is, like if you're going to be a professional comedian, um, uh, if you're going to carve out your own niche, you can certainly be filthy, but clubs for the most part don't want you to be dirty. And so I went and did that, and a few weeks later, I talked to the manager, and she asked me to come back again, which is in a couple weeks, and perform there again and do a little more time. And I guess the idea is you kind of keep proving yourself and hopefully working your way up the ranks. I guess I'm not sure exactly what happens, but we'll
Cool.
find out.
Cool. And did any of the people in your coalition make it?
Um, Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm the I don't know that I think I'm not sure who else submitted to them, but I'm the only one so far. Um, but yeah, a couple of them rode out with me and watched that night, and it was a lot of fun for all of us. So we're kind of the whole thing is we look at it like, if one of us succeeds, we all do. We're all working for the same stuff, and we work together with it on it. So when my friends get to do stuff, one of my buddies, or Donnie, got to open for Doug Stanhope uh, in
Oh wow.
the Quad Cities last fall, and I couldn't have been more excited for him. It was the best thing. So, and that's just how it is with all these guys. As long as one of us is pulling on it and moving forward, and not just us five or not just us six. I mean, anybody in this area, I get excited for them.
Yeah, anybody who does something good is good for the scene, It helps
Hmm.
bring recognition, and then also,
Yeah.
that helps spread the attention to everybody else.
Yeah, legitimizes all of us, I would say. I mean, there's some genuine good stuff going on here. I mean, I'm sure that it would be easy to dismiss what we're doing here because we're small, but I mean that like I said, we talked about running that open mic at Penguins, and there are nights. I mean, where a couple months ago I hosted, and we had 37 comics perform that night. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that was the most ever, but I mean, I've hosted plenty of nights where there have been 30 comics there, and you know, that's a pretty big deal for such a small area. I mean, it's not like we have 10 million people to pull from. We're talking about, 300,000 people in this area. So,
Right on. Yeah, that is impressive. Like, what did everybody get to do? Like 5 minutes or something, or
I think that night everyone did 4 minutes, and
four
yeah.
minutes?
So
Basically, your one or two best jokes or what you want to work on, and then off the stage you go.
yeah, it's like it's tough. It's when we try to 4 minutes is the lowest we really want to go, but we aim for like a 2 hour show at the most. But on a night when you have
Yeah.
37 comics, you're gonna you give everybody 4 minutes, you're gonna end up over that time. But we do what we can. It's the idea, like I said, the idea is keep the show tight. So, but most of the time we aim to give people 5 minutes is what we want to give you when you come there and perform.
Okay.
Men
All right.
and we've had nights where on a rare occasion there might be 15 comics, and then it's a little more loose and you can have a little more longer sets, but for the most part we're shooting for fives. Everybody does the same amount of time there. We're all equals, so that's what we shoot for.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So you said you got into comedy about 3, 4 years ago,
Yeah,
correct?
4 years.
What was it that made you decide, hey, I'm gonna give stand-up comedy a try?
Yeah, I think I've always loved comedy, and I didn't really think about the idea of what it meant to me, and so I started going to open mics and watching and trying to understand. And I think the first open mic I went to, I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm watching these people, and they weren't doing well because it was an open mic, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can be as bad as these people can be. I can do this, and so, so I had this crappy attitude about it when I started. I didn't realize, that comedy's not easy, and so I went and it took me like 6 months I went I would say twice a month for about 6 months watching people, until I finally got the nerve to go do it. And then, went up and ate it just like everybody else did. And um, it seemed like over time, the quality of what's happening is just getting better. And I think it has a lot to do with consistency. Like there's a lot of people who've been doing it for a lot of time here now, a lot of time being, 3 or 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you're consistent and you have a lot of opportunities, I mean, it's really surprising. When I started, there were basically you could perform every Wednesday night and every Monday night, and that was it. And the Wednesday nights weren't at the same place; they alternated, and then Monday was at the yacht club. And now you can perform if you're willing to drive around a little bit. You can perform Sunday through Thursday night at an open mic, and some of them vary. In there's one in Cedar Rapids um, that starts late, but you can, and then not a lot of people go to it because it's late. But you can do longer sets, 10-15 minute sets. But there's just numerous mics now. I mean, it's crazy. There's shoot, I mean, it would be hard to go through them all. There's probably, I would be willing to bet there are 20 different open mics to go to now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot more than when I was there 3 years ago.
Right.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm good to see the scene growing.
Yeah.
What is next for you?
For me, it's just the whole thing for me is I just want to keep getting better, and I want to be consistently working on getting better. And just I don't have any expectation for what I'm going to do. It's just I want to have fun. And if I had the ideal thing for me to have happen would be that I could start doing like feature work and stuff. And then my wife's a teacher, and so maybe in the summers or something, travel around a little bit and do some stuff. I mean, and kind of just almost like have the vacation paid for. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
go perform in wherever, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the weekend, and basically get hotel and a little bit of pay, and she and I go out there and hang out for the weekend or something. So I don't have a huge expectation list, I guess. I just want to be good. I just want to have fun, and I want to see what happens here. I guess that's the other thing. My other major goal is this to have somebody from here, from our group, do something awesome. Pop somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like, a lot is happening, so it's probably just a matter of time until something happens.
I think so. Yeah, I think like I said, there's some really quality people around here.
All right, Mike, we're about to wrap up this show here, but before I let you go, I've been asking this to all my guests. Name a moment or a time when you have lived life truly uncontained.
Sure. I think for me, this whole idea of being a comedian is that um, you know I've sort of like pushed aside like all the concerns about like hey, listen, you're 45 years old or whatever, you're too old to start doing this. um, you're living somewhere where you can't perform very often, and you know along with a group of other people, we've cultivated a thing where we you know kind of broke away from things and we're allowed to create our own thing. I think that's being uncontained.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer for it. And you want to tell people how they can get a hold of you and the Comedian Coalition?
Sure, yeah. You can certainly look us up on Facebook. That's pretty much the only place we are as far as the Comedian Coalition goes. If you just type that in, it'll pop up, I'm sure. It's just you'll see a picture of like six guys on the top of the page in black and red. And then you could, I'm on Twitter. You can find me under the name Lucacentric, and it's LuCasentric. And that's where I usually get on there and goof around and say stuff. And then you can usually find me experimenting on there. And if you come to a show, you'll see me probably saying half the crap that I wrote on there. So.
Right on. Yes, debut some of the jokes that you do on Twitter before you do them on stage.
Yeah, or else you might
Test them out a little.
Yeah, find a bunch of junk that didn't go very well too. So, but it's fun. I interact with a lot of people and have a group of good friends on there, and we kind of go back and forth a lot. So it's fun.
Do you find yourself getting good feedback from Twitter? Like, say you put a joke out, either people like it retweeted a lot, or do people be like, "Oh, that joke sucks," and you're like, "I probably shouldn't do this on stage."
Yeah, interactions. I'll get a retweet or favorites, or sometimes I'll interact with somebody famous or whatever, and then you get like a good back and forth going with them or something. But
so you've probably never had just an unfollow from a joke.
oh, I don't know, maybe. I'm not.
Well,
I'm not
if
super
it's an
concerned.
unfollow, maybe it's better that way. That might mean you hit something that was a good joke.
Right? Yeah.
Just made somebody uneasy that's easily offended, and you don't want them as a follower anyway.
Yeah. I don't mind if people unfollow me. I get it.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you very much for joining me on Uncontained, and good luck at Zany's on your upcoming show there.
Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'll definitely be listening to your podcast. Very cool.
Thanks again to Mike Lucas for coming on the show today and talking about what he has going on stage and off of stage, and sharing the cool website Bad Slava with us. Yes, where you can be wherever traveling and looking for an open mic show. You can go on and check that out, badslava.com. I will have that in the show notes. Also, if you are hearing this on the day this releases, tomorrow, Mike is actually hosting Iowa's Funniest Person contest in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I believe that's at Penguins. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review in iTunes or whatever pod platform you have been listening in, and also share it. Share it with your friends. Word of mouth is huge and greatly appreciated. I am also going to include the link to Bad Slava and all of Mike's contact information in the show notes, so check that out and get a hold of him. Let him know that you heard about him here on Uncontained. And as always, until next time, live uncontained.